So what's up, good people? Welcome back to another Zwift race. It is time, the Zwift Games 2025. This is the first stage of the Zwift Games. We are on the Makuri Madness route, which is a 10-mile route with 288 feet of elevation. To be honest with you, this route was a route that I'm pretty confident in, and it's ideal for a person of my prototype and my power output profile. There's not a lot of inclines, and it's basically a flat route. And so we can go all gas, no brakes for the most part, and we don't have to worry about redlining that often in this race. As usual, with a course that's short and with a route that's short and a fairly flat route, you had a whole lot of attacks periodically. And to be honest with you, the attacks were kind of had two purposes. One, to break the group down, but I think everybody knew for the most part with the categorization that Zwift does now by your racing score that wasn't going to happen. So there were some sustained attacks where people were actually trying to break away from the pack. My game plan going into this race was to really not let anybody get that far out on me. Again, I was pretty confident with the fact that this was a flat surface, so I knew that I wasn't willing to let anybody get out on me, and I was pretty confident that I could run people down. So Zwift did give you in the bullpen a draft boost, and as you can see, a few of them popped up early. People trying to hold on, people trying to keep up with the pace, at least at the initial onset, or at least with the initial onslaught of watts that people were trying to put out, trying to break the group down. I do think that a lot of the initial attacks and a lot of the attacks all the way through the race was designed specifically to force people to use their one power up. Because if you used it too early in the race, it kind of left you hanging on the outskirts. So again, my game plan going into the race was to do some attacks to kind of wear the pack out, especially with it being a flat course. But I actually logged on with 1 minute left before the race actually started. So I was actually completely cold. And so what I ended up doing, at least for the first 5 miles, is just trying to warm up and hang on as much as I can to the pace until I got my legs up under me and until I was able to build a rhythm with my breathing for this race. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. It was definitely strange with Zwift neutralizing the bikes. It definitely felt strange. I could tell a difference between my usual setup while doing a Zwift race and the neutralized bike. It just felt really strange. You could tell I was having to work a lot, work not necessarily a lot harder, but work harder than I traditionally have to work to generate the amount of watts. And I know it was 100% due to the fact that the watts was neutralized. It was also interesting the fact that they neutralized steering. It made for an interesting day. Uh, for if you don't use steering traditionally in your traditional races, you probably couldn't tell the difference. But I bought the Zwift Play controllers about a month ago, and I've used them to get people out of my draft and just take curbs tighter, and not having that, and to actually just kind of ride around people and not having that available to me was actually a unique and different feeling because I could tell I'm starting to grow accustomed to the Zwift controllers. So with this route being so flat, you could tell there really wasn't going to break up. A lot of the pack, well, it really wasn't going to break up. So for the most part, as you can see by the riders, we were all right on each other for the most part this entire race. Later on in the race, you will see where it kind of breaks up a little bit, but by and large, there was only 54 riders in this group. Surprisingly, I actually thought there would be more with it being the first day, but there was only 54 riders. The pack was pretty much tight the entire way, so I guess the number of riders didn't really matter because it was still pretty intense. So you can see I'm kind of getting jostled back and forth. I'm kind of going from the front all the way to the back. This is me still trying to get my legs warmed up and still trying to build a rhythm and a cadence in my breathing. I again, I because I logged on so late, it was taking me a while to warm up, and so I wanted to be a lot more aggressive. My goal was to be a lot more aggressive this race, but it just didn't wield itself to it. The fact that I came into this race basically cold. I'm definitely feeling this course. Just the route, just the setup of it. I'm definitely feeling it. I like kind of going, kind of blasting through the arcade and the setup. It definitely gave a good vibe. So I was definitely enjoying just the scenery on this race and the competition. I said I always love flat courses with not a lot of incline, just because people are so aggressive, and I like to. I'm an aggressive rider, so I like to watch the strategies when people don't have to worry about heels. When people have to worry about heels, they kind of move different, and hilly routes kind of lend itself to a certain type of rider. I personally think the flatter the course, the more variety you see in the level of attacks, just because people are more freewheeling and people are willing to gamble a little bit more because they don't have to worry about a KOM coming up. So here I actually try to use the helicopter mode. Yeah, it didn't work at all because we were the helicopter got stuck between buildings, so you really didn't see anything. But it was a nice try. I wanted to give you guys a different view of the peloton rolling down the road. But you couldn't see anything. It is what it is. I tried. One of my bigger regrets this race is actually not warming up properly. I really think had I pushed the pace a little bit more, I think I would have, number one, been able to uh, get a better time, break the group up a little bit more. So I could have definitely made the race a little bit easier on myself at the end. And I think I would have ranked higher. So my game plan was initially coming in to uh, begin to, once we got under 5 miles, begin to pick up. Begin to increase my power output each mile in order to wear the pack out. I knew this race was going to have a very aggressive finish at the end, just with it being such a short and flat route. So my idea was to wear the group down. As you can see, I'm doing my usual tactic, kind of pressing the pace and using my weight to my advantage on a decline to hopefully go into like a small super tuck so I can give myself an opportunity to break. It worked somewhat. I didn't need a huge amount of rest this race because I actually felt pretty good. I've rested a lot the last couple days prior to the race, so I actually felt pretty good. The only drawback I had was the fact that I didn't warm up properly. But as you could tell on the steep inclines, I'm using that because I'm a lot heavier than most of the other riders. I'm using that incline as an opportunity to kind of rest and recover. So I don't really mind if I'm actually going falling behind because I know that deeper in the race, this little bit of rest I'm getting is going to offer me an opportunity to rest a little bit. As you can see, the group is definitely still together. We're still having periodic breakaways. I haven't used my draft boost yet. I haven't actually needed it. I think I may end up using it. I think I use it fairly soon, just because there is a huge attack that I need to run down. So here people are starting to get a little bit more reckless with their attacks. I think by now people are understanding that, hey, the power ups, there's still a good amount of people that have their power ups. You got to force them to use them. So people are starting to press. People are starting to be a lot more aggressive in this race. And the attacks are starting to be a lot more sustained than they were earlier in the race. Earlier in the race, a lot of times people were they were attacking, kind of forcing you to use a little bit of your energy, and then will kind of come back to the pack. But this time, a lot of the attacks are sustained, and they're multiple. So one person attacks, and it kind of breaks itself down. Then the next person attacks, and the next person attacks. So here we're going into a small incline. Pretty interesting tactic here. You could tell everybody is definitely starting to pick up the pace. At this point, people are gambling that the heavier riders are going to struggle somewhat on this hill. As you can see, I'm standing up on the bike, so I am struggling a little bit. I'm not physically struggling, but Zwift feels like I'm kind of struggling a little bit, so it stands me up on the bike. But you can tell people are really starting to push the pace. Me, I cut on the aero boost just because heels naturally with my weight kind of hold me back a little bit. And so I cut on my aero boost to kind of put me in a better position. I don't want to lose the front wheel, because if I lose the front wheel with less than a mile left, I'm definitely guaranteed to lose. This rider kicks. He kicks, and he kicks early. His attitude is, if you want me, come get me. And I want him, so I was coming to get him. I was bringing him in slowly but surely, but I didn't want to expend too much energy to completely run him down, because we still had over a half mile left, and I knew the group was right behind me. Most of them was within 1 or 2 seconds. So I had to be conservative on how much energy I was going to use to actually pull the attack back in. So in the finish, my cadence has been very strong. So I was pretty confident in my finish. So as you can see, we're all kicking right now. My cadence has definitely improved. I could tell that the air bike and the row machine, my air bike and row machine workouts that I've been doing are definitely starting to pay off. So fortunately, I am able to snatch the win for this first stage and get the green jersey. So I'm definitely happy about that.